back to Arrakis Central. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content. So, the gameplay from Gamescom for Dune Awakening came out, and we've seen some very exciting stuff. So in the beginning of the video, we see the character creation, which we've kind of seen that already in some of the other videos, and then it kind of jumps straight into the, your house selection, more of the character creation options. More specifically in this section, the Reverend Mother will help you choose your character, basically standards, in the form of a Dune-style Bene Gesserit test. After the character creation portion, you'll be sent down on a ship to the surface of Arrakis, or Dune, and you'll crash land, and from there is when you're going to start the initial tutorial and survival aspects of the game. And once you get past that initial character creation portion and you start off on the planet, you're going to wake up in a cave as shown in the video, and you're going to go ahead and start your walking around, getting your bearings, learning the environment, and that's when you'll pretty much start getting the tutorial portions of the game. One of the first items you're going to pick up in the game is the Frem Kit. The Frem Kit is the survival kit which you'll use to craft basic items, store your basic inventory, and initially start creating very simple items for survival in the beginning of the game, such as the healing kit, and you can make a scrap metal knife. I see this part as being similar to other survival MMO games where you are able to craft more simple items in the beginning in your inventory, and later on you're going to need more advanced technologies and other types of items and workshop items to craft the more advanced things. Next, you'll move around this initial cave for a little while. You'll start learning the basic movement and other control buttons and keys, so you can learn how to harvest, craft some early on basic healing items, such as with the healing kit. You're going to go ahead and craft one of those to heal up, as shown in this example, and then with enough stamina you can start to free climb, and apparently you can free climb most areas of the game from what we've been told. How accurate that is, are you going to be able to climb any rocky surface or just these flat surfaces like we see in the video here? That will be, shown later on, I'm sure, when we start playing the game. Next, after you get out of the tunnel, your first steps coming out of that cave, you're going to try and cross over a open desert area, as shown in this video, and apparently you're going to run into a early small worm, and you're going to have to chase and get to some rocky areas to get away from that. And from what we're told in the video, that's just a small worm. You'll need to escape to the nearest outcropping of rocks, continue resource gathering, and at this point in the game, you're going to start using your resource gathering tool. So you can collect a few more items, some bushes and shrubs. Looks like you're going to get plant fiber as one of your baseline resources in the game, and I guess you can get some little bit of hydration out of some of the plants around the area as well. Next, when you get to the resource gathering tool, the way you'll have to gather resources from scrap and other areas is to scan the item. It'll light up in its weak point, and then you'll just weld or activate your tool, so to speak, your laser, and you'll just scan across that path or aim across that path while pulling the trigger, and then it will gather the resources for you. The next part they talked about briefly was how the spice that's in the air around Arrakis can affect you. And as you can see right here, it doesn't say exactly what happens to you, but it looks like you go into some sort of hallucination or some sort of blacking out scenario that the spice can do to you. Does that kill you? I don't really know. They didn't specify. They said they would talk about that later, but we'll see when that happens later. Next, they moved on to a base raiding scene, which is a PvE base. They showed this Harkonnen looking character, how he uses his suspensor fields and his basically his tow hook there, or whatever we want to call that, and he gets around quickly with that, which is a pretty cool tactic, honestly. And then it's going to show how you basically make your first Mauler pistol, and you raid that base using that pistol and the other skills. Once you have your Mauler pistol created, they show you infiltrating the base, maneuvering around, sneaking around the base, and you're going to do some medium to long range activities with the Mauler pistol. You can throw a distraction grenade, so to speak, move around, then you maneuver on and kill the enemies that's in the base. Now remember, this is PvE, so it might be slightly easier than PvP. The next part of the video, they showed the same base raid, but from a melee point of view character. And this just showed some of the combos you could use, a flying knee kick, different types of melee sword weapons that you can use to take on enemies. And my personal opinion is the gunplay looked a little bit better than the melee, in my opinion. And even though they said in the beginning of this was a early beta, it's, you know, hopefully they clean that up a little bit. And then they showed some of the aspects you could use as a mentat, where you can scan the battlefield and you can detect the stats of the enemies. And then after that, you can use a hunter-seeker, like from the movie, that tries to kill Paul. You can use that tool to go in and assassinate enemies from afar. So that was actually pretty cool. That mentat character looked like one of the more interesting classes to use, honestly. Next, they showed us how you actually be able to drink blood from downed enemies. It's not really a recommended way to get blood, and it's kind of looked down frowned upon, and it has a debuff, I believe, too, they showed. But I mean, if you are in a jam, it'd be a good way to get some rehydration going quickly. And next, one of my most anticipated sections of this gameplay, which I wanted to see, was the base creation. And initially, you set a fiefdom marker, base marker right there, and then that creates your zone of unclaimed territory, and then you can start building. That's very similar to other survival building MMO games. And apparently when you set that marker, that base building marker, you have to start paying taxes to the Emperor, so just keep that in mind. That's what they mentioned in the film. And you'll be able to do pretty cool base building. You can lay the hologram out, and then other players, if you're playing multiplayer, can fill in the resources, or anybody can, which was very interesting. So the base building was honestly the best part of the video, in my opinion, and that's what I'm most looking forward to in this game. The next part of the video they talked about was the vehicle fabrication and a more advanced tech fabrication. So in this part, they showed how you would build each component to the sand bike, which is one of the early vehicles in the game that you can craft. And the way they showed it was you would craft these parts at the crafter, so to speak, 3D printer, and you would craft individual parts of the bike. And you can craft custom parts such as a second seat and other customizations such as that. This part was also interesting, similar to the base building, which I feel the animations are pretty cool of the fabricators actually running behind the scenes there, if you notice right there. The cool part is you can just manufacture those specific items of the bike, and then you get to go ahead and move over to building it. So as you can see, you just lay the parts out, and then you can navigate around to where the next parts will actually supposed to be able to fit. It looks like there's only certain parts or connectors on the vehicle that specific parts will fit, so that would be pretty easy to determine and find out when you're making your vehicle. And as soon as your vehicle is complete, you are on the road, on the Dune, so to speak, driving around. You can go and find special events out in the world, and find rare items, and hopefully not get eaten by the worm. The next part they showed was during the nighttime, you can be attacked by the roving starter car patrols, which is a pretty interesting survival / element to the game. And now they talked about the sandworm and how you can go out into the desert and harvest flower sand. I think they called it flower sand, which I didn't really see what they use it for, but it's for crafting and other fabricating materials. But while you're out there, you know, mining the flower sand, you can attract the worm. And as you can see, the worm starts chasing them. So you have a limited amount of time before you need to get on your bike or whatever and get the heck out of there before the worm gets you. So that's a nice little survival element to the game. And as you can see, the worm almost gets these guys in the video they had, but they barely make it away and get to the rocky outcropping. And I don't know the boundary of the worm, but it looks like it can't get that close to the rocks. But I do kind of wish the worms looked closer to the movies, but it is what it is. And finally, once you craft a ornithopter and you can start taking the flight within the desert, deep desert and whatnot, it makes the game a lot more interesting from what they've shown us. You'll be able to get in closer to spice harvesting zones, and in and out you'll be able to fly to the different villages. In this instance, they're going to go down and show us Harco Village, which is the Harkonnen main headquarters, so to speak. And they gave a little lore background on that, saying that in this version of Dune, in this vision, the Carthage city was destroyed by a nuke, and the Harkonnens had to move down there. So that was pretty cool. Backstory right there. So in this areas, you can talk to various NPCs, take missions. You can actually show your support and sign up for the Harkonnen faction or Atreides faction or whatever faction you want to actually join for the story mode. And now we're going to show off a PvE mission. I think they called these a Imperial station or some sort, research station. And inside it's kind of basically a dungeon that you go through, clear out, and at the end of that dungeon you'll have rare items you can get and other things like that. Pretty cool. Shows off some of your skills you can upgrade. And one particular area that was pretty cool was some of the weapons are shielding you could use when you're fighting some of the NPCs in here. They have a shield barrier that you can launch down and basically take cover behind, and I thought that was a pretty cool skill to use right there. And that flamethrower is also pretty cool. It takes guys down and shields faster, so they say in the video. Pretty interesting stuff. This was a much better this part was much cooler looking on the combat than when they assaulted that base earlier in the video. And finally, they showed off the spice hunting, which is a spice plume will go or set off in the deep desert, which entices all player factions to get there as soon as possible and basically have a little war or a battle over the spice. And you got to get out as fast as you can, get as much spice as you can in a limited time. And then apparently if you don't get it fast enough, the worm comes. So that's pretty cool. Other than that, that's all they showed. If you guys have any questions and comments, put them down below. And I will see you next time.